Welcome everyone to a video version of Pop Kannon.
Weird.
This is episode 37. My name is Jordan.
I am Robert.
Thank you for joining us. This is a very interesting time, so we figured we had a little extra time on our hands, so why not try video out?
Sure. Who could it hurt?
Obviously, we're down a couple people here.
We're down at least one, but definitely two.
Yeah. So, Robert and I decided that we're going to give you guys a review of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Yes. I'm so excited. Kevin Smith, if you're following us on our PK 30-day challenge, I put him as my favorite director. I got a little bit of shit for it, actually, which I understand. But I really tried to just think of somebody I've seen almost all of their films, and Kevin Smith's, I think I've not seen 2 or 3 of the litany of films he's directed. So that's why I picked him, because clearly I like him if I'm watching all his shit. So
that's true. Also a big fan of Kevin Smith. Obviously, for me being like a filmmaker and everything, he's one of the indie darlings, if you will.
Yeah.
So big fan of him, and couldn't wait to see Reboot after he announced it.
Yeah, and you saw it in the limited release it had in theaters.
I did. That original Thursday night showtime,
Yeah.
I believe it was.
And then I saw it as part of the Reboot Roadshow, because he did a viewing of it 10 minutes from my door, which is the weirdest happenstance ever. So it was super exciting to go see him in person, actually, and then watch the film with a group of people that are so invested in him that they spend $50 a piece on seats, like I did.
Yeah, and the best part about all of that is, like, he sits and talks with you, and like talks for basically the length of the film. And now you had never watched the movie prior to that viewing, correct?
No, and I pre-ordered the Blu-ray. I received the Blu-ray like 3 weeks to a month before my viewing was supposed to happen. But I refused to watch it because I wanted to see it fresh in that crowd, because I thought it'd be way more interesting to see it fresh in that crowd. And it was. Totally was. And he prefaced the film. He came out in his Barney the Dinosaur blazer and told everybody what they were about to see, basically, and kind of talked a little bit. And then we watched the film, and then he spoke for over 75 minutes after the fucking credits rolled. Which his like stage manager person had these cards that had numbers on them for time, and he was in the middle of answering, I think, his 4th question, and he looked over and he was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're at 75 minutes." So he had to wrap it up, and then he's like, "I'll just keep talking until they kick us out," and they basically kicked us out. So,
oh wow!
But there were people that were leaving mid Q&A because it was a Thursday. Yeah. So
how late was it at that point?
I don't know.
Because what time did it start?
They made us shut our phones off. I have no idea what time it was.
Okay, but like what time was it? Like the start time on the ticket, like 7 p.m. or something?
I think it was 7 or 8.
Okay.
And then I think when we left there, it was like 11:30, almost midnight. So there was a lot of, like, for $50.
Yeah.
Totally worth it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm super jealous. But like you said, I saw it in the theater during that limited release, which was pretty cool because he actually came out on screen, and him and Jay kind of introed the movie, which was really cool. We got some behind the scenes photographs that Ken Burns did and everything, and he just talked for like 5 minutes maybe, but obviously it was nowhere to the level of like seeing it live, but it was still cool to see him come out and do his thing, kind of.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, he works a crowd. Like, it's just like listening to one of his podcasts which is another reason that I'm such a big fan of his. So like I've heard, and the crazy thing is that I heard some of the stories that he was giving us there on one of his podcasts previously. So I like knew the story before he told it, which I thought was great.
But it's cool, like, having him there telling it firsthand.
Yeah. I mean, it was great to just listen to again, but I was like, I know what he's going to say. This is a good one.
That's cool. So let's get into initial thoughts on the film. You know, like, your first viewing of it, what'd you think?
I had such a great time. I thought it was hilarious in a lot of ways, and it had a lot of heart. But I think he doesn't get enough credit for writing a lot of heart into his movies. But this one definitely had an emotional core to it, which was awesome. But it was, I mean, the jokes were hilarious, and I liked way more of it than I didn't like. I had one like glaring issue, and everything else I was cool with.
Yeah, we'll get into like dislikes and stuff later, but my first initial reaction after seeing it was I loved it. I think it's my favorite Kevin Smith movie at this point. Granted, I haven't seen Dogma in a very long time.
I spent $40 on the Blu-ray.
And I think I've only seen Dogma like on Comedy Central or something, like way back in the day. So I think watching it now, I'd be able to appreciate it a little bit more.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, Reboot as a whole, fantastic movie.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Like you said, a lot of heart. Just a straight up good time. And like, you could tell the energy that they had on set. Like, everyone was having a great time. Like,
yeah.
they're just delivering jokes and they're like ad-libbing and everyone just seemed like they had the time of their lives making this movie.
Yeah, well, he said that this is gonna be the best movie and the best cast he's ever able to get together, because everybody was he was guilting them into doing it because he didn't die. So
yeah, as he stated within the film itself. I guess let's talk about that really quick. Just like the self-awareness of the movie.
The premise of the film itself is part of the joke.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is it's a reboot, but it's a parody of rebooting. And the way that they explain in the comic shop what a reboot is literally what happens in this movie, because they add that group of girls that are multi-ethnic rather than from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where it was all white women. Like, they did the exact thing that they expressed what that is. Like on that level, fantastic. But yeah, I mean, the scene in the comic shop is amazing.
Well, I mean, it's basically like Strike Back, where he's explaining the internet to them. So it was fun to revisit that and talk about like the Marvel movies and shit like that. The part where they were like, who would spend money to see a Kevin Smith movie? And they look at the camera. The fucking crowd lost it in the theater. That's awesome.
But I mean, they were losing it for every time somebody popped up. And not just like celebrity cameo. The crowd that I saw it with lost it for like a View Askewniverse people.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as Dante's on screen, huge roar from the fucking crowd. It was awesome. And he told us, the first person you're going to see is going to make you cheer, and I'm going to send a video to the person so he can see that everybody loves him from Baltimore. And we didn't know who necessarily it was, and then it was, so everybody lost it. And I think maybe he was playing it up a little bit to get the crowd kind of hyped too, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to lose it when you see this guy. And then no matter who it is, you're like, fuck, it's him, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so great. It was so great.
Yeah. And there's just so many people showing up for this thing. Not just, like you said, the cameos, but like the different View Askew universe like characters. We got like a ton of fun, memorable moments from this movie. Who was your favorite main character cameo that you saw?
So I know they're not. He's not technically part of the View Askew universe, but Justin Long's cameo.
Well, he is now. Like,
well, right
this is
now
his,
he is the gay lawyer. Yeah.
Well, this was his character from Zack and Miri.
Yes, exactly.
And him just like hamming it up on screen. So funny, dude.
Yeah, that was, like, it started it off in a way that like was like made it really funny, and kind of gave you the tone of what the movie was going to be. And then there's the Power Rangers joke in there.
Dude, the Power Rangers joke fucking got me. They're like, remember that episode where the Red Ranger turned into the Gold Ranger? And they were like, that was a later season.
Yeah. Dude, it's so funny. Like, because Saban Films produced this.
Yeah.
So
we're more of a what did he say? Like a multimedia company now.
I love the voice that he does for that character.
Yeah.
So that's like,
I'm the Dick Wolf of getting guys off with my mouth. And he like winks at them. So great. Because what did he say? It was his grinder name was Dick Wolfer or something like that. Yeah, Dick Wolfer on Grinder. He said it like 3 times.
So good. Oh man, I love so much about it.
Yeah. But like him getting up, sticking with the courtroom scene for like a little while, because like I wrote down the part when he gets up and walks around
to the other
table.
And Jay was hilarious in that scene. Hilarious in that scene, because he was like, "Wait, we're the defendants now?" Like he had no idea what was happening.
Wait, we are? We are. They're paid actors.
Yeah, like he got them to sign the documents at the very beginning, and Silent Bob was like, maybe, shouldn't we read them? And he's like, fuck that, he's our lawyer. So good.
Yeah. There's so many good moments. I think for me, one of the funniest like moments of the whole film was when it cut to Kevin Smith and he's doing the Omaze ad. Like on the computer when they look it up and he's like, hey everyone, what's going on? It's Kevin Smith. And he's like hamming it the fuck up. And he's like, you could win a chance to like come to the premiere and be on this stuff. And it's just so funny, like, and self-aware of like, you've seen stuff advertised on Omaze on like a YouTube ad or something.
Yeah.
So it's just clever. And I love shit like that.
So I don't have a problem with the Omaze ad. But him being so involved as a character.
Oh, Kevin Smith?
As Kevin Smith, as a character in the film, was my least favorite part of the movie.
Oh, really?
I get that it's one less person to pay. Which is probably why he did it, because he's Mr. Shoestring Budget. But the whole thing with him, like, and I liked the joke that he looked like Silent Bob, but it became overly self-aware at that point, and it really bugged me. And even in with that crowd of people, I was like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
See, I loved it. I thought it was funny. Because
I laughed. Trust me, I laugh at it, because it's not written bad. It's one of those, like, I wouldn't give it a pass in any other movie.
No.
So I was like, I don't like that part.
That's fair. I just like it as a way to like self-deprecate yourself, because it's something I would do.
Right. No, it was definitely self-deprecating, because nobody said anything nice about him at all. So, how about the brief cameo by his podcast partner,
Ralph Garman?
Ralph Garman. The fucking the credit card guy.
Him in the elevator, coming out and just like screaming his head off. I'm gonna read this to you real slow and in public.
Right. 9415.
And then that becomes their alias for like
Yeah.
90% of the movie.
Yeah. Because they're using his credit card to use what was the app called? Ride Me Now.
Right. Yeah.
Ride Me Now. Instead of
Yeah.
Uber or Lyft, it's Ride Me Now. And
It is Ride Me Now.
Molly Shannon playing a character named Jolene so he could get a joke in about the lyrics of the song Jolene by Dolly Parton. Which is so fucking like he did that for nobody but himself.
Yeah.
That joke, you know?
Yeah.
Which I love. I love that.
We also got in that scene her being like, oh, there's a weight problem.
Yeah.
And so like he got to dig
the
that one in
Southwest
on the
knife.
airline. Well, it's South Best Airlines.
Right.
So
What are you saying? This motherfucker's too fat to fly?
But speaking of the Ride Me Now app, the logo for it
Yes.
was clever as hell. Yeah. I loved it. Whoever designed that, props,
So
because
funny.
it could work either way as like, oh, that looks like a legitimate business, but like it's one of those pictures where it's like, oh, do you see these dolphins or do you see people kissing or a duck or a rabbit?
Shared yesterday?
Yeah. I was just like, dude, this is weird. But yeah, the Ride Me Now logo, hilarious. Props to that graphic designer.
And then their Ride Me Now driver, Fred Armisen, the creator of Hater Tots.
Hater Tots. He's so funny. He's
Scene,
such a funny dude.
Dude, have you watched Portlandia?
I've seen episodes. We've watched some stuff together. I remember being with
dude.
Joe and watching stuff in his backyard and stuff.
I fucking love that show so much. And I mean, obviously, him on SNL, him on Portlandia. I even watched his stand-up special on Netflix, which was less a stand-up special and more like musician jokes for musicians. But it was funny. Like, it was funny. I don't know exactly what he's talking about, but it was good. Yeah. He's so fucking funny, and he looks dead like my dad's father. So
really?
Yeah. When he was younger, there's like pictures of my grandfather that I'm like, why is that Fred Armisen? But yeah, him being their Uber driver, and like the story about how they're his first ride since somebody shit in the back of his car, and it's really hard to clean shit out of pleather. Hilarious. And then they smoke the entire time in the back, and he's like, "You're not smoking cigarettes?"
Yo, guys, those cigarettes are making me, like they're getting to me a little bit. They're a little smelly. And they're like, "Yo, this isn't cigarettes." And that whole scene where they get him to smoke because he was like, "Oh, I've always been nervous that I was gonna get busted." I think that's definitely a subconscious thing that Kevin Smith thought to himself before he started smoking weed.
For sure. And he started smoking weed on Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Yep.
Because of Seth Rogen. So,
and it changed his life.
It did. Very much so.
Let's talk about the Matt Damon as Loki scene.
It was good as a buffer.
Yeah. Obviously, there was like a schedule thing where he couldn't
be there.
Yeah.
But the lines were good, and he delivered it fucking hilariously.
Yeah.
But it had no place in the movie.
No, but it was just like, that's just like one of those fun nods.
Yeah.
That in this kind of movie I can give passes to because it's not meant to be taken seriously. No. It's like Easter Egg the movie. I'll put it that way. That's the way I view this film, is just fan service.
Totally. And it was really good in that regard. Because if you like any of his movies, there's something in here for you, which is great.
Oh, seeing his wife in the movies that they go to. So that was kind of cool. Nice little way.
She's had roles in other ones of his movies, obviously Clerks 2.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But this one was probably her funniest turn.
Yeah.
Other than Strike Back, I think, because she was involved in it just overall longer. But in this, she's the manager of that movies that they go into. And she has herself a vegan in the bathroom. While Jay sees his ex baby mama, we find out on the news, and completely loses his mind in the middle of a fucking fast food restaurant, dude.
Meanwhile, Fred Armisen is running around in the background.
Yeah. And I just he immediately, no bullshit, immediately put his fingers in his mouth. And I fucking lost it. And then after that, it was just everything else was funny. Yeah. And then she gets behind him and his fucking eyes cross. So good.
That scene was so played so wonderfully awkward.
Yeah. Because when he comes back, he's just fingering his mouth and humping the air.
Yeah.
And the girl behind the counter, I think that was Kate McCucci, was like, "Are you okay?"
And then we eventually meet Harley Quinn.
Yes, we meet
her
Harley
character,
Quinn Smith.
Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Or Millie for short, which I like.
What was the last name? Falconer or something like that?
No, it's just Falcon.
Falcon, but it's F-A-U.
Yeah.
They spelled it like a last name, not Falcon, like the bird. Which is even better for me. And I saw a comment, because one of the companies that helped produce this was Legion M. Okay. And they're a fan-owned company that produces stuff and people buy in, and I don't know exactly how the rest of it works, but they did the Blu-ray pre-order that I bought, and I
remember seeing that.
I got the Chronic Con lanyard with it. And they were prevalent in the credits and shit. So I think
cool.
most of the people that were on that stage at the end, I think those are probably Legion M people that were promised a thing if they bought in so much money or something like that.
Oh, maybe.
In the comments on the Legion M post about the Blu-ray release were people shitting all over Legion M.
I remember seeing something about that.
And I was like, dude, what the fuck? People are like, oh, I don't know. If I pre-ordered it. I never received my copy. And I was like, that doesn't seem right. But one of the posts about the Kevin Smith stuff, a few commenters in a row. So it wasn't a thread where they were talking to each other, but individual people commented how he can't write for a young woman, and this movie suffered as a result of that. And I just couldn't wait to talk about this with you, because I was like, I vehemently disagree with that statement. I think if anything, Harley Quinn's character was probably had the most to do and grow into this role, as the film progressed. And also, if it wasn't written well for a young woman, his fucking daughter of all people would have told him it sucked.
Yeah, absolutely. She was one of the most fleshed out characters of the whole movie, and I think she might have been my favorite character aside from Jay and Silent Bob.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Because obviously we're meeting her for the first time. We met a bunch of new people too, and she was the best out of all of them, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Her performance was really, really well done. The point when she flips out on them and they pull the knife on them, fantastic. She sold that so well.
Mm-hmm.
And she just has the attitude and the wherewithal, and then the emotional scenes, that scene with her and Jay where they're talking at the con, made me emotional.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one of the things he talked about afterward, and he talked about it at length. She didn't need to be there because it was a over the shoulder one shot, but she insisted on being there and running the lines with Jay. And he wasn't supposed to, it wasn't in the script for him to start crying in that moment. Oh, really? At all. But her playing it to him made him emotional. So it got this whole thing, and that was her idea to be there, because he was like, what are you doing? You don't have to be here for this. And she was like, I have to be here for my fellow actor. Like, she took it super fucking seriously. It wasn't just like, I'm in my dad's movie.
Yeah.
You know, she took it as a serious acting role because that's what she wants to do. And she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that Quentin Tarantino directed.
Okay, that's cool.
So, and she won that role. He doesn't know Quentin.
Oh, really?
He told this story too. She auditioned for it and didn't hear back for like a month. And she definitely thought she didn't get it, and she was super depressed about it. And then they called her and said that she needed to be on set the next day. I don't know if they lost somebody, but apparently Quentin really liked her.
That's cool.
Because he doesn't give you something to read. You have to write something.
Really?
That's what Kevin Smith said. His daughter had to write a thing. And she didn't even ask him to write a thing for her. She wrote a thing herself and performed it for her dad, and then went and performed it for Quentin Tarantino. And they made room for her in their thing and brought her into it.
Wow.
So I would not be surprised if in the next Quentin movie she's in it in some way, because once he likes somebody, he fucking makes sure that he fits them in.
Yeah, he sticks with it. I feel like every director has like a core team that they like working with.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Was she good in it?
She didn't have a huge role.
Oh, okay.
But the parts that she was in, I was like, oh, fuck, that's Harley Quinn Smith. Like, as if I know her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
I'm
cool.
happy for her. I don't fucking know who she is.
Yeah.
But like,
I think she definitely like stood out in this movie.
Yeah. And like, that's such a huge movie to get a cameo debut thing in.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And a lot of people love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And she's in that. So forever they're going to be like, that's Kevin Smith's daughter. You know what I mean?
Cool.
So that's
cool.
that's awesome. And then she got to have a fucking breakout performance here.
So what was your favorite scene in the whole movie?
It has to be the Affleck scene.
Same.
The Affleck scene, because that's the emotional turn of the movie. Mm-hmm. That's like where everything gets, that's the part where we're coming back now, and we're hitting completion on the storytelling arc. We're at 45 minutes to go at that point.
Yeah.
And Affleck fucking killed that monologue, dude. Holy fuck.
So good.
So good. And that, Kevin Smith explained, wasn't even in the original picture at all.
Well, I remember hearing that because they weren't on good terms.
He didn't think that he would be able to get Affleck, so he didn't write him into it. Yeah. And then the way that he explained how it happened, and it's probably way too long a story to go into, but there's a guy, I won't do the whole thing because I don't know it exactly, but there's a guy who is a really big fan of Kevin Smith who interviews a lot of people in Hollywood for different film roles that they have. And he always asks a question related to a Kevin Smith movie before they get into their interview. And he just happened to be interviewing Affleck and asked him about something, whether it was Chasing Amy or Dogma or whatever. And Affleck's like, I haven't talked to him in like 10 years. And that guy got them back in touch.
That's cool.
Because they told Kevin while they were filming this, because they were already filming this. And a lot of the stuff that you see in the credits with them running around from Diedrich Bader, that was what that scene originally was. Like the lens flare line about, there's more lens flare in here than fucking JJ. That is what the Affleck scene replaced.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they started talking, and Kevin he had to text this number that he doesn't have in his phone and hope that it's Ben Affleck. How do you ask if it's Ben Affleck?
Yeah, right.
So I forget how he said he worded the text, but it was hilarious. And then he responded BA and then said, who is this? And then Kevin Smith said something and then they just started fucking talking.
Was
and
he like
fucking,
KS?
I don't know if he did KS, but he did something that would like indicate, I think he said
him.
SB.
Yeah.
Something like that. And he fucking knew who that was. Which was just so crazy. But he got fucking real misty talking about it because he's touched that they're friends again.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, there's a whole, like, personal level to that. And so seeing him in the film, like, I had no idea, obviously. So the first time I'm watching it, seeing Holden, when they walk into that room, I was like, holy shit, here we go.
Yeah.
All right. And then they had the whole Chasing Amy thing, which I thought was so beautifully written. And it was like the best payoff for those characters.
Absolutely.
To follow up with like 20 years later almost.
Yeah, that it was such a great bow on the Chasing Amy story. So great. And then the fact that he named his daughter Amy.
Yeah.
Which was fucking, he's like, now I live my life chasing Amy. Like, I was like, fuck!
Yeah. And that was Jay's daughter.
Yes.
In real life, which was cool.
He explained that when they did Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, I guess Harley Quinn Smith was a child and Jay interacted with her in it. So then he was like, he felt like he was paying it off that now Jay's daughter gets to interact with them.
That was cool. And like that whole monologue talking about like his kids and how his perspective has completely shifted. Like, I'm not a parent, but it made me think of my nieces, and I got super emotional, and like I actually started to like get teary-eyed during it. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, for you, because you are going to be a father very soon, within the next like 3 months.
So soon.
How did that, especially watching it back now, like the second time, how did that play for you?
Gut punch. Absolute gut punch, because I was like, fuck, because everything was so real. Because my favorite thing about Kevin Smith dialogue in movies and stuff is like, that's how we talk. You know what I mean? This isn't like, it's not highfalutin English. This is like how we talk to each other, is saying all of these nasty fucking horrible things and joking constantly and shit like that. Like, that's how we talk to each other. So hearing from him describe what that is, you know, like he basically tried to explain what fatherhood / parenthood to a lesser extent is for him, because like all these characters, and now I'm, you know, the foundation thing, like I think that was what it was, like, oh, I'm the stage and she's the show.
Yeah.
Right? Like that fucking explanation. I was like, oh my God.
When it's like, I'm no longer Batman, I'm Thomas Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he's like, although I can't remember the mother's name, and he looks into the camera.
That was fucking amazing. Because that, to me, like, that's the way that you undercut an emotional sequence.
Yeah.
With a joke like that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to do like, it the entire movie.
No.
Marvel. Make sure that nobody feels anything. Just want to be numb and fun.
Where's the lie? But it was like a subtle joke.
It was.
It wasn't like a complete let's make fun of the situation.
Nope.
It was like let's make fun of a line of dialogue or something else.
Right. And if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. We're gonna move on.
Yeah.
His mother. What was her name? And then he just like so good. So
yeah,
good.
Ben Affleck stole the show for me in that scene.
Absolutely.
Alone.
I'm so glad that they were able to put that together.
Yeah.
So glad they were able to put that together. And he traveled down there. Like, he was like, oh yeah, I'll come down. And fucking went down to when they were filming.
That's cool.
They didn't have to do it like at some other point. It was,
yeah,
like,
on a green screen or whatever.
Right. He was like, yeah, I'll come.
That was rad. That's rad. What did you think of the group of teenage girls in the film?
I thought that they did a great job at being exactly what they were supposed to be.
I agree.
Which was have a little bit of heart, represent what reboots are, and sort of be a parody of that themselves. But not in an insulting way.
No.
The line that he towed with that, I think it was masterfully tiptoed on. Because it was never insulting, and they wound up saving the day anyway. Because of what he wrote all of them having issues with. Because everybody was like, not only were they all young women of color that were replacing everybody else, but they all had like a problem.
Yeah.
You know, like the one's deaf and the other one doesn't talk to anybody because she's Chinese and she's recording a podcast, but she's secretly Russian.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing.
What'd you think of that twist?
Definitely didn't like the glow Alison Brie-esque Russian accent that the girl was doing.
I thought it was like goofy as hell, but like,
yes.
Like I said, within the context of this movie,
it's
very
fine.
Over the top the way.
I mean, there's a character named, what was his name? The Fister or whatever the fuck.
Cockknocker.
And then he's like, "Oh man, he fisted him!" Like,
well, her name was She An Yu, which I was like, is that like a Green Arrow reference for Lian Yu?
Probably.
Because like I said, it's Easter Egg the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So why not throw a run that he is famous for writing in comics, throw a nod to that?
Yeah.
Because this is the movie he made after his heart attack. This is the movie that he wanted to put his all into. And I know he's said that, like, this is everything he's learned as a filmmaker over the course of 20 years.
Yeah. And if this was his last movie, that like he would be totally happy.
Yeah.
Because he got to do everything, and then he was able to put his daughter over.
Yeah. It was cool to see, like, Method Man and Redman in there.
That was such a great fucking cameo. Such a great cameo. That's when they're knocked out from the edibles.
Yes, which I thought was hilarious. They're like, you don't think that we could handle edibles? And then all of a sudden they pass out. And they're asleep.
Like, instantly.
Yeah.
But, like, my favorite part about that is, like, when you overdose on marijuana edibles, you don't go to heaven or hell or purgatory, you go to Method Man's backseat. Like, and their lines were hysterical, but having them in it was also a payoff of an earlier joke where they said the best film in cinema was How High.
Yeah. And
I used to watch How High when I was like 12 all the time.
I've never seen it.
It's fucking hilarious, actually. It's actually fucking hilarious. And I'm pissed that I think it's on Netflix or something like that. How High 2 is available, but not How High.
Well,
and it's like with new rappers, so who gives a shit?
Yeah.
But How High 1 with Method Man and Redman, hilarious fucking film. And I watched it when I was a kid, strictly for the humor. I had no idea what they were talking about. I didn't know what the hell. I was like, oh, okay, that. No idea. No idea. I just thought it was funny.
That's great. Yeah, I'm going to have to, like, find a way to watch that. So if you're listening or watching this and you know
how to watch
if it's
How High
streaming somewhere, let us know.
Yeah, fuck, I would love to watch How High again.
How have we not mentioned the KKK scene yet?
So the hater tots.
It means different things to different people.
So fucking funny. Like, it's funny to the point where it definitely doesn't really make sense, but it's fucking hilarious. Like, white nationalists really enjoyed hater tots. So he had to close his entire business because those were his only customers, even though he was trying to get teenage girls to eat it because they love Tiger Beat, he said.
Ugh.
Fucking
but like
hater tots.
That monologue by Silent Bob.
Well, yeah, he was doing Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah. Always be ducking. And then who's the head of the KKK?
Chris fucking Jericho.
Yeah, like, I did not see that coming. And when I was in the theater the first time, and I did not. I did not see that coming.
You did not see.
Oh, I see what you did there. Oh, I see. That's so funny.
You said I was going to be a father. I have to practice, dude.
That's true. But no, like when he lifted up the hood, I laughed for 5 minutes straight, like out loud. I was just giggling the whole time in the theater.
Because like the greatest thing about that is like I know who Chris Jericho is. Like
yeah. So like, and knowing how his personality is and stuff like that, to see him in a role like that, hilarious. Because he has the comedic timing.
Yes. Amanda, when we went to see it, was drifting off throughout, like in person.
Well, it's a Thursday night.
Yeah. It was a Thursday night. She was up at like 5:00 in the morning. And it was at that point 8. Normally she's like passed out already. So
she's in bed already.
Yeah. So when we watched it back last week on Blu-ray, she was like, "Is that Chris Jericho?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh shit, you missed this whole scene? Oh my God." So fucking funny.
Yeah. It was like such a ridiculous turn. I'm just picturing Kevin Smith like writing this and being like, let's just throw some KKK members in there. White power, because the hater tots and they're paying it off.
I think it was part of the reboot thing where like white men are villains. So he wrote like the most villainous white men of all time into it to pay off for the group of girls that he had.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Blunt Man v. Chronic like special look at?
So fucking funny.
It's Melissa Benoist and Val Kilmer.
I love like Kevin Smith as Silent Bob using his phone throughout the movie to only show you one emoji.
But he's typing away.
And it's one big fucking emoji is funny, but they pay it off in the Blunt Man v. Chronic where he does the same thing and he shows his phone.
It's like the angry face and then the V.
Yeah. Yeah. So fucking funny.
And then they pull the Batman v Superman gag where he fires the canister and it grabs her, like she grabs it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is funny because she's Supergirl, and we had Batman versus Supergirl instead of Batman v Superman. And then she's so just like, "Oh, Indigo."
You bastard. And fucking passes out.
Because she got super chill.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish that they had filmed more of that because I just want to see. I want to peel that back a little bit. Because Blunt Man v. Chronic is the most hilarious fucking way to reboot Blunt Man and Chronic. Like, that's fucking amazing. Because you know that was just... That's the type of thing that's born out of a and conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It just keeps... Yeah, and the reboot is called Blunt Man v. Chronic instead of... And they're like, and we'll have Supergirl play, like, and they just kept...
Stacking it. And then they had...
fucking Tommy Chong was Alfred.
Yeah! Hilarious.
Which, like, what a great way to pay off that these have turned into... Because I don't know that they necessarily... I mean, they were, I guess, from the beginning, stoner comedies. Even though, like, Kevin Smith wasn't necessarily one himself.
No.
He was still writing into that world.
Yeah.
But, like, he has enough clout to get Tommy Chong, the, like, innovator of the stoner comedy, to appear in his stoner comedy where... There's a reboot happening of a film based on stoner characters that are based on stoners.
It's such a layered thing. I love it.
He's just like, well, maybe we shouldn't fight, man. Like,
honorable mention goes out to the part where Jay is talking in Dothraki during the fight, because when that started, Cheyenne lost her shit sitting next to me. She laughed so loud in that theater. It was amazing, and it made me laugh harder because it like popped her for it.
Dude, it was so fucking out of nowhere.
And it's like perfect.
It was perfect fucking Dothraki. He was just like, Donageris!
The subtitles pop up at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. It's so fucking good.
Oh. God.
So good. I totally forgot about that. For a second time, I forgot about that. That was great. That scene was so fucking funny.
Yeah, dude.
Holy shit. I loved when they walked into the con and they saw all the people dressed as the two guys that they're with, and they didn't realize that it was supposed to be that or something.
Well, they were like, are you like, why are you dressed like all these people? And they're like, these people are dressed like us.
Yeah.
But you would think like if they were big fans of Jay and Silent or Blunt Man and Chronic, you think that they would be like, why do these two meth heads, as they kept calling them, but they're just from Jersey, which that line popped me.
Hey,
wouldn't you think that they would be like, why do they kind of look like Blunt Man and Chronic's like alter egos or whatever?
Yeah, that was one of the things that was like, what the fuck?
But I mean,
I think maybe it was because it was the Asian girl's dream to go there.
Unless theirs.
It wasn't necessarily theirs. They were just trying to get her there.
Yeah.
But
that makes sense.
The Hot Topic thing was fucking great with Adam Brody.
Yes.
They gave him a fucking wig and some eyeliner, and he was just like the whole time.
He's got like lip piercings, and his hair's in his lip piercing and stuff. He keeps trying to go like this.
Oh man, and because he had gotten a deal with Hot Topic to do all his shirts and shit.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's why they got to actually put that brand in there.
That whole Chronic Con concept is hilarious, and the fact that they were walking in on panels, with Jason Biggs and stuff. That was great.
Yeah, that was good. Then there was the comic book men panel where Ming was reading like his diary or like a poem.
It was like a poem
about the end of Comic Book Men. And then there was the Clerks reunion panel, and it was in black and white, which I thought was hilarious. Yep. Like that was a great moment.
Yeah. And then they turn into black and white and they scream.
And they're just like, ah! So good. Yeah, the Affleck scene is what really saved the movie. Not saved it, but like gave it a more serious note, a more emotional note.
Yeah, it made it mean more.
Yeah.
I think between that and the Millie J stuff, like the father-daughter dynamic scenes.
What sucks is that how great the Chronicon stuff was, and probably how much it cost to set all that up. They had to sacrifice that to get the Affleck moment in there, because there's a lot more play in the Chronicon stuff without that scene. But the scene is necessary to make the movie itself better. So like, I'm glad that he was able to I guess recognize that, and it was just like, nah, I need this whole thing in here.
Yeah.
But like, that was one of the things. That was also one of the reasons, and it's a different role, obviously, than director and writer, but one of my favorite things about Kevin Smith is that he fucking edits his own movies.
I thought the editing was, exceptional. Like, the whole film, I thought, start to finish, everything made sense.
Every one of his films, he edits them himself, and the editing is fucking immaculate.
Mm-hmm. The sound mixing, like everything, like all of it looks perfect and it plays perfectly.
And I think the reason that he edits them himself is like probably not the biggest reason, but like it's a selfish thing. He's like, I'm not going to give this to somebody else. I know what I wanted out of this.
That's the way I am.
But like, I think the second reason is that originally he didn't know that he wasn't supposed to. But like that somebody else could do it.
Yeah.
When you don't have a budget, you're like, well, I got to do more of these jobs. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why he edits them himself.
Well, you and I have made movies together. Like, we've done basically every single aspect that there is to do.
Yeah, because you have to. And it's crazy to think that there's so many more people involved in a multi-million-dollar adventure.
Yeah. Like, they have multiple editors.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. How are you have to be in the same room. You can't not be in the same room.
Yeah.
But like, it's got to be really tough to be like, I think it should be cut this way.
Yeah. It's like, take a pass at it, send it back. Right. I'm going to take a pass at it. You know, like, I guess each team is going to be different, but when you are writing a film, you know, like, you make a movie in 3 stages. Mm-hmm. When you write it, when you make it, and then when you edit it. Mm-hmm. That's so, and I know this from experience that's absolutely true. Mm-hmm. Like, when we were making Guilty 2, for example, which is one of the movies that I've made, mm-hmm. like, that changed and evolved through each stage of production.
Just with whatever you wrote, what you wanted, and then you film what you have, and then you edit what you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the best thing about Kevin Smith's movies, is that it's always 100% him. Because he's writing them, he's directing them, and he's editing them.
Yeah.
So he gets to go through those 3 stages with that thing. And then he took this fucking movie on a 65 night tour of the country and watched it every time with every crowd.
Yeah.
So like, imagine writing it and knowing the film, and filming it and knowing the film, and spending all the time editing it and knowing the film, and then fucking watching it 70 times, because some places were 2 stop or like 2 shows. So that's a lot of time living with a movie. So he must love it at this point.
He's got to either love it or, like, he's like, okay, I'm going to take a break from watching this for a while. But
I don't know that if I were him, I don't think I'd ever watch it again after the tour was over. Honestly. Because, like, he could probably fucking recite it right now.
Oh, absolutely.
With the stage direction.
and I guarantee you he's also sitting there thinking, well, this was what I had to cut out. You know, right. Like, there was this whole scene where they would go back and forth. You know, like, here's stuff that I wrote that didn't get filmed. Here's stuff that I filmed that didn't make the final cut.
And that's probably all going to be rolled into, because apparently he's doing Mallrats 2 and Clerks 3. So I'm sure there's stuff that he had, because he said a lot of the stuff in this was originally in the follow-up to Mallrats that he was writing.
Okay.
So he kind of he Frankensteined parts of it and made it into this movie, as opposed to having it for the Mallrats thing.
Yeah. Overall, any final thoughts? Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Well, it's available on Amazon Prime to watch. And if not, you could absolutely get the Blu-ray from anywhere. I think Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash is still selling it. Yeah. Or you could get it through Legion M. You could
the Blu-ray's available like on
the Blu-ray's available widely now.
Yeah. Amazon.
Yeah. So like, it's definitely, if you're a fan of his and you haven't seen this yet, are you a fan of his?
Yeah, right.
But if you have seen it, it's a love letter to everything he's ever done.
Yeah. Like I said, fan service the movie, Easter egg the movie. Like, I was watching it this afternoon, and there was stuff that I was picking up on that I didn't pick up on originally. Right. I'm a big fan of the film. I respect Kevin Smith so much. I look up to him as a director, as a writer, as an editor, especially. And I really had a great time watching this movie in particular.
Me too. It's fun. And leading up to my going to see it, I watched a couple of his films, not immediately back to back to back, like night after night, but we watched Dogma and Clerks 2, and then Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and then we went and saw this. Because those were ones that I really wanted to touch back on, because I felt like they were probably going to have the most play. So, and then previous to that, and then we watched Chasing Amy, and then Dogma, and then... and that was the first time I'd ever seen Chasing Amy. That fucking movie's fantastic.
Which blew my mind when you told me that.
I just had never seen it.
So good.
Yeah,
so
it's a
good.
fantastic fucking movie.
I was... One moment that stood out to me in this movie was in that panel scene where Jay and Silent Bob sneak in and sit down.
Yeah.
You see Kevin's brother and his mom sitting right in front, and his mom just has a huge grin on her face. Like, she's so proud and having the time of her life. And I just think that's really sweet, and I think that sums up Kevin Smith's entire career. Like,
and that was also the cameo for Q from Impractical Jokers.
Yeah, and we got
he was in the background of Dogma.
He was in something else too. He was in another one of his movies.
Yep, because he's friends with I don't want to get his name fucked up. Brian Johnson, the beard guy from
Brian
Comic
Johnson.
Book Man. They do Tell Him Steve Dave.
But just like seeing his mom with that huge smile, like, made my heart melt, and it makes me like realize that Kevin Smith's just like a normal dude. He's just like you and me, and like you said, he writes like you and me talk.
We talk,
you know, like, so seeing him be able to live his dreams and go out and take this show on the road to like all those different cities and stuff, like, it's inspiring to me. It makes me want to be a better filmmaker. So I love this movie. Couldn't wait to buy it on Blu-ray. I remember sitting there watching it and just like, man, I can't wait to own this. And I'm really glad that I do. And I'm glad it's available on Amazon Prime. So hopefully more people will watch it and be able to appreciate it.
And for me, it's almost more personal to me, because you like him on obviously like a personal level, but like because of the person that he is, but like on a professional level. For me, I know where he grew up. Like, I lived 10 minutes from Leonardo.
Okay.
At one point when I was younger. So like, I'm fully aware of like the world that created him. Like the hockey scene in Clerks, my uncle was big into hockey. Big into fucking playing hockey like that. I know I've been to rinks in New Jersey where they like play roller hockey. Like, there's outside roller rinks that adults have leagues and shit.
Yeah.
So it's just like knowing where he's from and just like seeing that he's done so much. And I think like the Jersey thing kind of gets him a little bit farther with some people, because like he fucking knew Carlin.
Yeah.
And George Carlin is like the stand-up god. Like he's like here, and like him and Richard Pryor, like Carlin's my fucking favorite.
Yeah.
Bar none. And like the fact that he was in Dogma, and I believe he was in another one. It was probably Jersey Girl. That's one of the ones I haven't seen yet.
It's all right. It's not as bad as everyone makes it seem, I think, but it's an okay movie.
Yeah, but he's in that. So like the fact that he just knows all these, like, it's awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's our review of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. So be sure to let us know what you thought, obviously.
Have you seen Jay and Silent Bob Reboot? What do you think of it? Do you like Kevin Smith movies, or do you think he's a piece of shit? Were you surprised like Jordan was in the theater to see Ben Affleck back, or had that been spoiled for you previously? What else is there? There's so much shit.
What's
So
your
much
favorite Kevin Smith movie?
Yeah. What's your favorite Kevin Smith movie? I don't know that I could answer that for you right off the top of my head. I'd really have to think about it.
Dude, Red State was so good.
Red State is so fucking good.
I love that movie.
That movie was fucking amazing.
See, I
love Red
need
State.
to own that on Blu-ray. I don't own it, but
That movie's so fucking good.
that's
Blew my mind.
that's the most non-Kevin Smith movie.
Oh, 100%.
But it's definitely in my top 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
And I don't even think Cop Out's bad.
No, I liked
laughed.
Cop Out.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let us know what your favorite Kevin Smith movie is. If you like this one, if you didn't like this one, what your favorite cameo was from this one. If you want to reach us on the social medias, it's very simple. It is just Pop Kannon with a K. I don't know if will this be backwards?
Maybe.
Who cares? It's a K instead of a C because we have to brand shit. So
It's like the periodic table symbol for potassium. The K.
Right, of course.
Every kiss begins with it.
Right. And that's why we chose it, because we kiss all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, at Pop Kannon, if you want to do us a solid and follow us individually, because like we're 2 individuals, we have thoughts, we retweet some funny stuff and we post some stuff. But yeah, so I could be found on Twitter and Instagram at JL24FPS.
And I am on Twitter and Instagram at Yesball. And obviously, the coronavirus has wreaked havoc not only on the planet, but the slate of episodes we were planning to release, because all of the movies got bumped. So we're kind of scrambling to figure out what to give you in terms of content. And we might get some older films that we've never been able to talk about, possibly in this format, because some people are handling the quarantining a little differently than others.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. So tell us if you like this format.
Yes,
and if you
please
hate
do.
looking at one of our faces, directly tweet at us and say, I hate your fucking face. Stop doing video. I never want to see this again.
And then we'll probably just take your advice, honestly.
Probably.
One person. It's going to take one person to say that. And then we're done. We're going to cancel the podcast. It's over.
COVID claims another victim.
So, once again, for Pop Kannon, my name is Jordan. This has been my hetero life mate, Robert.
It's me.
Stay tuned for more content, hopefully coming very, very soon. We're still doing a Pop Kannon 30-day challenge on our
check that
Instagram,
out.
Twitter, and Facebook pages. So go ahead, screenshot it, play along. April just started. Now's a great time to jump in and start doing them daily.
Dive in.
And to steal a line from Chris Hemsworth, dishes are done, man. Peace.
We didn't even talk about the Hemsworth fucking cameo. Oh, so fucking good. Can you see it?
I think.
My Jay and Silent Bob shirt.